Apply what you have learned about semiotics to food. In what ways does it function like a language? Well, the principles of selection and combination that we identified as crucial for language in the narrow sense are also at work when it comes to food. There are different paradigmatic classes from which we choose, and then we combine the elements that we have chosen in syntagmatic sequences, either for a single dish or when we're cooking a whole menu. In a way that already begins when you go shopping, because most supermarkets are organized according to paradigms. There will be a section for vegetables, there will be a section for cereals, but there will also be sections for pasta and rice and couscous, and very often these are together because they kind of fall into the same category, the same paradigm. However, sometimes, and that makes shopping occasionally difficult, the supermarkets are already anticipating the syntagms. For example, I always notice that when it's asparagus season in Germany in spring, and most Germans eat asparagus, the white asparagus, together with sauce hollandaise. And usually you would find that sauce hollandaise in the sauce section. But during May and June, supermarkets very often place it next to the asparagus. That is, they're anticipating the sequence that you will be creating when you're cooking your meal. And of course, when you're cooking at home, you're also combining different elements and you're creating a syntagmatic sequence of elements that then, of course, takes on a certain meaning. Obviously, we can also apply the concepts of denotation and connotation to food, just as we can apply them to fashion or all kinds of other things. And just as with fashion, with elements of clothing, we need to distinguish between the real thing or the representation. So a lobster has certain connotations. An image of the lobster has on the one hand the denotation, this is a lobster, and on the other hand it also carries these connotations. For example, elegance or luxury in the case of a lobster. By the way, the lobster is a good example to show that these connotations change over time as the meaning of things changes over time, because in the 19th century, lobster was not a luxury food because there were so many lobsters to be caught off the shores of New England in particular, that lobster was sold as canned food for people who didn't have a lot of money. This, of course, has changed completely. And today it's something like the epitome of luxury. However, combination can make a whole lot of a difference. It makes really a difference if you combine a lobster with some fancy side dishes to kind of heighten the connotation of luxury, or if you kind of downplay this connotation, as you would still find it in certain restaurants in New England, where lobster is served very simply with potatoes and melted butter, where you may be sitting in booths that are covered by plastic, so no luxury around you, and therefore the lobster takes on a very different meaning. In much the same fashion, a burger would be very much down-to-earth food. The connotation would be that this is rather simple, maybe a certain working class connotation. But if you put truffles on your burger, then it all of a sudden becomes a whole different kind of food. The connotations change.